The main thing we take into consideration is it really must be rooted in action, right? Gone are the days of doing a 9-box through a talent review, setting it on the shelf and revisiting it in another year, right? It really needs to be about action to take everything that's going on in these rapidly changing times and put it into practice. So one of the frameworks I really like to do this is called the 4 E's: evaluation, experience, exposure, and education, right? So evaluation is both kind of, an internal view on your leader strengths as well as an evaluation of your kind of content knowledge. Experience is the biggest way that we can grow things. So actually going out and trying things. Exposure is about meeting with folks and leaders who are already doing that. So kind of seeing how it happens in practice and getting exposure to those next level things you want to develop through others doing them. And then education, right? So education is kind of that obvious one, whether it's specific classes, individualized or group, where you're working on building yourself out as a leader. So here at HireRight, we use a layered approach for that. So with our annual talent reviews, we ask individuals and leaders to work on development plans, right, that are very personalized to what they need to work on. We also think about themes that we have for leaders and want them to be working on throughout the year. And we encourage some of those things that are really applicable in our environment or in our business in the moment. We also have leader development programs, and 2 in particular we've rolled out in the last year. One is Leadership Excellence, and one is Emerging Leaders Programs. Both of those combine that 4E approach, right? So there's some evaluation where they do kind of a look at their own leadership styles and kind of an assessment of what they're doing well and what they want to continue to grow on. Education, where we have particular sessions on growing and learning specific things about our business or business in general, often taught by other leaders, so leaders teaching leaders. That exposure, so getting an opportunity to shadow someone or hear from other leaders and see how that's happening in practice. And then experience, so that happens through both action learning programs that we have through those and projects that we ask them to work on, plus asking them to really think about what are some things you want to work on and put that into practice and some testing over the time of that program. One of the biggest changes I see in leadership development is that leaders have a much bigger say in what they want to prioritize and grow and focus on versus previously it was all about what the priorities of the business were. So, 5 ways that I think that we can do that and keep our senior leaders optimized and things to consider. Starting with 1, start much earlier, right? We should be thinking about our future leaders as early as, first-time supervisors. And what are the things that we want to develop, engage, and grow in our leaders starting much earlier. If you wait until their senior director is getting into that VP ranks, you're missing things, right? Or you're letting it happen naturally versus kind of curating that experience. 2, focus on DE&I, right? We know as leaders and in the business that this is an essential part. We know that it's the right thing to do, but we also know it's important to our leaders, right? That we have inclusive programs, that we're kind of diverse, not only in who we have on our teams, but also who are involved in programs and what kinds of things that we're learning, right? So when we think about DE&I broadly, this has become much more of a forefront part of our programming. 3, we think about our leaders as teachers, right? So there's the development both in hearing from leaders who've gone before you and have already done those things. So having the opportunity to maybe see someone's journey line, right? Where have they come from? What were the highs and lows in their careers and their lives as they've gotten there? What are the key things they've done to get there? But then also, as a leader turning around and teaching that next generation, you get a lot out of that. Again, both kind of sharing experiences and teaching content, right? It's different when you hear it from someone who's in your program or in your company and they know how it works. So leaders as teachers has been another essential part. 4, expecting balance, right? Our leaders don't want to think about development as something that adds huge amounts to their already busy days or it becomes a burden, right? So balance is both in the programs and generally We want to be able to show how you can grow, develop. I mean, you're putting in more work for sure, right? But like, how does that become something that you're excited about and you see those benefits both immediately and kind of in your future? It's balancing how that all comes through. And then 5, I'm going to end with the 4 E's, right? Like that 4 E's, the evaluation, experience, exposure, education. We have to be focusing on that experience, right? You're not just talking about what it might be and putting things on a piece of paper or taking a couple of classes, but being really clear. Our leaders want to have that experience. They want to grow into specific capabilities, and the best way to do that is actually doing it. So no surprise, but the biggest challenge I see for our leaders ahead is the speed of change. And 3 key attributes that I believe help with that are openness, agility, and curiosity. The good thing is our succession and development process can both help identify folks who have those key attributes and build some development plans for those who want to work on it. I'm going to reference our process again. So 1 is that evaluation I just talked about, kind of identifying those capabilities, whether it's self-assessment, peer assessment, or survey instruments that help with those as well. 2 is thinking about education. So this could be looking on LinkedIn or learning for specific ideas on this and learning about these. They're all 3 fairly popular capabilities right now. Or it could just be simple changes in your own approach to things. So for openness, you may decide to change up your routine, right? They've shown that, just changing up your morning routine, for example, shifts your brain into thinking differently and more openly for the day. For building agility, you might have a test and learn process for your team. So find some ways that you could just do quick ways of trying new things, willingness to fail, try and try again, building that ability to, try new things quickly and change on a dime. And for curiosity, just ask a lot of questions and get comfortable with folks asking questions of you and of things you're doing. I think that goes a long way towards building curiosity. When I think about exposure for this, the key is modeling it as a leadership behavior. Then you both see how that comes through in leadership meetings and decision making and things like that. And from a broader leadership culture standpoint, you kind of see these things come through. And finally, through experience. So one of the ways we do that is putting folks in stretch projects through our leadership development programs. But it could also be on, stretch capabilities or stretch projects in a regular day-to-day work environment, right? Where you're pushed to be a little bit more open to new ideas, to try and change things quickly and be more agile in the way you think. And curiosity, right? Just trying something new and learning and asking questions in a different way. So I think those are the key attributes, not only to be a good leader, but honestly, to change your organization through these adaptations.